I've had people ask, do I think I got a raw deal? Did I have a bad lawyer? I got the maximum sentence, which was 7 years in federal prison for real estate fraud. And my range was 0 to 7. And here's the truth. The truth is that if I would have pled earlier, I would have gotten a decent deal. I fought and argued and complained and pointed at what everyone else did. And it was really difficult for me to plead guilty because, well, for one, I was told that if I went to trial, I would only get 8 years. So the reason that I ultimately pled was because they were going after my husband too. And so my husband they indicted him, but he didn't serve any prison time. And that kept him home with the kids. So that's why I pled. But if I'd have pled sooner, he probably wouldn't have even been indicted. So I could get to carry that weight. But I wasted a lot of money on attorneys. And so when people say, did you have bad lawyers? Here's the thing. You can pay a lawyer to tell you anything you want him to tell you, right? Like, I did have some bad lawyers. I had some good lawyers. And at the end of the day, it rests on you. If you're stubborn, which I am, then, you're the one that tells the attorney what to do. I do remember that I had this attorney he was kind of a hustler. He had been a former federal prosecutor. I paid him a lot of money, and he kept telling me I was innocent. And I remember looking at him one day and I said, I'm not. John, I'm not innocent. I know I did things wrong. And he's like, oh, that little snafu, that's not even that big of a deal, what you did. There's other people doing it way worse. Well, you don't want your lawyer telling you that, because my lawyer isn't the one that had to go serve the 7-year prison sentence. But I also had an attorney that wouldn't listen to anything I said when I'd try to map out the real estate deals. And I'm like, but I didn't do what they're saying I did. And he goes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that was very invalidating. My first attorney told me that she could get me a 2-year deal, and we went and met with the government and the FBI. And then she's like, oh, oops, it looks like it's not going to be that. It's going to be worse. I really don't know. I don't know anyone that ever goes to prison that likes their attorney. So I don't blame any of my attorneys. Probably the 2 best attorneys that I had. And I went through attorneys. I mean, I ended up with a public defender because I ran out of money, but I wasted everything we had in the first place fighting. The 2 best attorneys I had were females, and both of them just listened and told me I was struggling so deeply. I remember looking at Liz, one of my attorneys, and I said, Liz, I've placed a child for adoption. I've been through drug addiction. I can't do this. I can't leave my children and go to prison. And she goes, Portia, what they're asking you to do is harder than any of those things that you've already done. But there's not a good option. You either plead guilty and you do less time, or you go to trial and you lose and you face losing everything. And I appreciate that she at least listened to me and showed some compassion and understanding.